Hey everyone, welcome to OGHQ, my new studio, garage, whatever you want to call it, most awesome place in the world. We're going to dig into some details here on one of the sort of, I guess, lesser important to me things, but it's one of those luxury items that really adds to the user experience of the garage for me, and that's the compressed air system. This, in the design phase of your garage, would be like the last tool or the last thing I would add personally. And so I think most of you would probably be the same thing. This would be the last thing you would do. It's the luxury of luxury items. But I'm telling you, if you have a system like this, it can really make the user experience and make the garage a really great place to be. And then when you're doing some simple task that this solves, if you have the means, then just makes your life better. Not necessary, but makes your life better. I'm actually going to be making a follow-up to this video looking at $200, $300, $400, $500 compressors to see if there's a viable solution for doing most of these tasks in a much, much less expensive or more economical fashion. So the centerpiece to the system, I actually just took the cover off here, is this guy. And this is what's making it very expensive for me. This is completely unnecessary, but oh so wonderful. And if you can get this in your life, if you can get to the place where you can afford to swing the money for one of these, this sucker is $11,500 plus shipping. If you can swing it, it is incredible. And here's a couple of reasons why. If you come around here and why, take a look at it. Now it has a little baby tank. It's a little 20-gallon horizontal tank, but it's this unit right here. And so this is a all self-contained system. So it has our 3-stage filtration, it has our sort of the motor, if you will, the electric motor, and then the mechanical system that creates the air. It has the tank, it has all the hoses, it has a digital regulator as well. So it's filtered, it's regulated, it's got a tank, and it can operate at 100% duty cycle, meaning that if the tank is empty, it still is going to deliver the full amount of air that it's capable of delivering. And the secret sauce to this thing, the beauty of this, is that it is a rotary screw air compressor that posers like me can use. Let me explain. If you're a poser, meaning you don't use your air compressor every day, all day, you almost never get it up to full operating temperature, it becomes problematic when you get these silent rotary screw type compressors. What happens is if you don't use it, you don't bring it up to temp, eventually you end up with oil in the water and it rusts the screws. And then you might as well just throw it away and buy a new one. This eliminates that. There's an actual heater, so there's a heating system, an element that heats the oil, brings it up to temp periodically to keep us from ending up with water and condensation on the screw or the head of the pump. And so we get all the benefits of a rotary screw compressor in a nice, small, compact design. So it's quiet. It delivers air at 100% duty cycle. It is very efficient and freaking looks sweet as well. And then to add to the awesomeness of this, what Werther does, this is Werther Fiat does in Italy, where these are made, they create a silenced shroud. And so this guy, the entire cabinet, this enclosure is sort of reinforced, or I guess you could say bent or gusseted steel. So it's powder-coated steel with tons of insulation to keep this thing from making really any noise at all. Even if you took this cover off, it'll still operate at around below 70 decibels, much quieter than my pressure washers. But the claim to fame of this guy here is, as a hobbyist, as not a heavy user of an air compressor, I get best of both worlds. I get the silence of a piston compressor, but I don't have to deal with the fact that I'm going to end up with major problems in the future. Be careful if you're just running a hobbyist shop like I am here. You don't want to end up getting a rotary screw compressor and having to replace the main part of the motor every couple of years because you didn't use it enough. These Werther compressors have oil heaters to help bypass that or alleviate that potential. I've decided, because of the amount that I use this, I didn't do an oil water separator. I didn't do any sophisticated separate filtration, air filtration for what you have. on board. I actually am just venting it, running it down into the Swiss tracks with a little bit of water and a tiny bit of oil that ends up getting expelled from this. I am in an air-conditioned and dehumidified space. I'm just dumping it onto the floor, but you would want to be mindful. It does come with a little plastic case that you could put somewhere if you needed to. I decided not to do that. So get a little closer look at this thing. Look how freaking cool this is. Just comes like this. I don't have to think about it. I don't have to touch it. Here's my digital. That's my digital regulator. Here's my sophisticated multi-stage filtration system. If I use this a lot, I'm going to need to change filters occasionally. Here's my motor, which creates and generates the compressed air, and then I got my little tank, and it's freaking incredible. I control it all from the front, capable of 145 psi. It delivers. I thought it delivered more because I'm able to run a pneumatic polisher. It delivers 9.8 CFM at 90 psi. And so if I'm going to run it at, right now we have it set to 127 psi, which is a little stout. And then I have air throughout the line, so it's filled all the lines throughout HQ. But this little guy here comes on wheels. We lock the wheels. It's set fixed in place here, and then we have a flex line connected to our Prevost setup. It is a little bit clunky to get into the menu. You kind of have to learn. There's only 3 buttons, so you have to learn the 3 systems in order to make it function and make it work. But it's not bad. You'll figure it out. You just have to have the manual, read it a couple of times, and then you'll learn how to change the settings to get the proper set the pressure. And so if I'm running a specific tool and I want to set to 90 psi, or most of the time I just run at 125. That way I can blow out pads with maximum efficiency. All right, so this is the brains of the operation. Now let me show you the I guess the neural network here, or the arteries, however you want to think about it. So if I take a look at the back of this here, you can see we made a little flex line. So we have a flexible line, and because I'm willing to sacrifice here, normally you would have again, you'd have a little water tank that you would put somewhere. We're just running it down on the floor, which you could choose to do or not. But the arteries are this really incredible Prevost piping. And it comes in blue, gray, and green for different deliveries, depending on what you're delivering through it. The piping's all the same, you just have different colors. The gray, I think, is the gas line. But notice all these fittings. The fittings are all aluminum, so all of our unions, junctions, valves. It has their own proprietary shark bite-like fitting, and there's lots of brands that make this stuff. Rapid Air, Kaiser makes their own version, but you can see we're running the piping through. I've had pretty much all of them. Prevost has the best fit, finish, has the best style. In a garage like this that's beautiful, when we're going to run it up and down the walls, I actually prefer to have the piping exposed rather than putting it behind the drywall. There's some advantages of making it exposed. One, if I needed to service it or I had a leak, or I had a problem someday, I ended up with water in the lines, I could take it apart, disassemble it, so keeping it exposed there's an advantage there. But for me, I just like looking at it. I think it looks fantastic. Hey everyone, sorry to interrupt the video, but there's something really cool that I think you're going to want to come to, and I think you're going to want to be timely on this because we only have a certain amount of spots. We're putting together. This is the first annual Middleton Motor Show. It's right by my house. But we're taking over downtown. We're going to have food trucks. Restaurants are going to be open. Live music. Rumor has it Jay Leno's going to be walking around there too because he has a comedy show at night. The time frame is from 1 to 8 p.m. We're looking for, like my 2 cars are going to be there, GT4 and up. But if you have a nice car, like I may submit my E92, if you have a nice car, don't be ashamed to post it up. Make sure to go to the Village's entertainment page. We'll put a link in the description and go fill out your application. It's going to be $50 if we choose you. You don't have to pay up front. We just want people to have some skin in the game so you'll actually show up because we only have 130 spots. We're going to be lining downtown. We're going to have parking for other people too. So even if you don't get picked, you definitely want to come. It's going to be the start of something really cool. So make sure to get signed up, and love to see you there. Show's February 28th, 1 to 8 p.m., but I want to get your application in now. Now, we stock, I think it's the 25 millimeter piping. They make 1/2 inch all the way up to 5, 6 inch piping. I chose early on a long time ago, I'm going to pick one because they have 7 or 8 different sizes, which means 7 or 8 different types of fittings. I chose to do the 1 inch piping. I think it looks the best. It's way overkill for 10 CFM and 125, 150 PSI, but having the lines kind of become my storage tank. I'd say I'd have the equivalent of another 20 gallons worth of air. So I have about a 40-gallon storage with the lines being filled with air and then the tank. And then again, remember, this pump can operate even if there's no air in the lines or air in the tank. You can just sit there and essentially run it all day. And actually, it's a little bit happier. The more you run it like that, the better. So after I've distributed my air, I need to get the air to me somehow, and we put a single valve on the system right behind the air compressor. It's a very simple system. I have 3 hose reels, 3 50-footers. The garage is about 60 feet. It's like 54 feet wide. It's 28 feet deep. And I've done this in the past where I've done like all 4 corners of my lift. Now I have 2 lifts in here, so this time I decided to simplify it a bit, and we just did an air reel kind of in a triangular fashion so I can reach, even to the outside. I can reach pretty far out into the parking lot there if I needed to fill up and put some air in a tire. But we're able to cover the whole basis of the garage. And there's a couple of special things about these hose reels. This is from a company called Cox, which I discovered at SEMA 2015 or 16 or something like that, maybe 17. But they have a feature, let's say, where they have a certain winding of the spring in the barrel of the hose reel, that creates what they call easy coil. So as I'm coiling my hose back in, it's not whipping it across the garage. Now, you got to be careful when you buy these, because the ones that I'm stocking are a custom SKU. It has a custom spring, custom finish, custom swivel. So we have a stainless swivel. It's a crinkle black finish, which we have to pay extra to get done. And then it has a spring that's designed specifically for this hose and the fittings that are on my hose. So you want to make sure, if you're going to go and chase this down, you should just buy it from me, because you're going to get the wrong freaking one, I can tell you. I bought like 2 or 3 dozen of these, and then we were sending them back and forth. This was early on. I spent thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. The very first version of my Cox reels that I put on the ceiling, they didn't work. And I just kind of fed it, like the spring wasn't the right spring, and so working with them over the years, I've kind of gotten it set up. They're very expensive. I want to say this reel loaded up with the hose, by the way, this is a Continental F5 hose, which is awesome, is like something like $800 or something like that. This is like a buy once, cry once, have it for the rest of your life thing, but right now, until someday I make my own hose reel, I think this is the best hose reel, at least the best hose reel I've found. And so then once we get air to us via our hose reel, and we're able to experience this awesome system of easy coil. By the way, you would lock it. You find that detent, you lock the hose. We do these in 50-foot increments. They do make bigger hose reels, but I find that for us in our consumer garages, or a garage like this, 50 feet is all we need. But as I let go nice and controlled. Same thing on the power cord reel, where we have these, the same easy coil thing. Now that spring is very different than that spring, because it's pulling in a different weight. And we do these in gray, wrinkle black, and blue. All right, so now we got our air from our compressor through the air lines to our hose reel, through a hose, the Continental F5 hose, which we make these here at HQ. This is a very different hose than what you'll find at pretty much any Home Depot or Napa or wherever you're going to get your hose from. And then once you deliver it through the hose, then you got to get it to your tool somehow, and that's where these beauties come in. This is where the magic happens. So these are from the same company that makes the airlines, Prevost, and this is what they call their S1 coupler. And this is essentially a double release system. So right now my system's pressurized at 127 PSI in the line. And when I take a tool and I air it up, There's a single press in, but normally to get a tool out, you'd kind of have to push in and pull, pop the pin. So it'd be like a two-handed operation. Well, this is single-handed operation where it's a double release. So I press the button, and then I release the tool, right? It's pretty freaking cool. I know that, if you're not an air compressor guy, you probably don't give a crap. But that one release, that single-hand function is like freaking remarkable. Not to mention the quality of these fittings. I mean, they are built like tanks. So when I first got the Prevost catalog, it's like, it is daunting. It's hundreds and hundreds, probably 300 pages. This particular coupler, there's a picture of it, and it's like a picture from where you're at to here. It calls it a fluid swiveling coupler. And you're like, well, I don't understand how that works. Like, what? This doesn't make any sense. It doesn't show you that this thing swivels in multiple axioms, whatever you want to say, on multiple axes. And so it swivels this way, and it swivels this way, which makes it a 360 fluid swiveling coupler. You also have swivel on the tool as well, right? So this will swivel inside of the seat. And so this moves however you need it to move. Now, when I saw this in the catalog at the time, I think it was like $89. I was like, what in the world? There's no way. Like, I don't even know what that is. But I said, well, send me one just in case. And I put this on every single hose reel that I've either sold or used myself since the beginning, since I first found this thing. I cannot live without this thing. It's pretty incredible. The only thing that's a little bit annoying, you see me adjusting this, I got to put some electrical tape on here. If you put some tape behind here, then it won't move around. The boot kind of moves around a little bit as well. It has its own swiveling, and so you can either put a little dab of super glue on there to keep it in position, or some guy had suggested to me a long time that I just do a couple wraps of electrical tape and it'll keep it from sliding. But this puppy here will change your life. You could put, this is the wrong type of fitting, but you could put this as well. You could put a regular S1 coupler, still swivels in a single axis, just not in 360-degree fashion. But these S1 couplers are incredible. Now, to save you the pain and suffering, there are 9 different standards across the world. TrueFlate, Japanese, there's ISO 06, which is the industrial standard. I decided to adopt the European standard, which is called the high flow standard. So if you look at the plug that fits into the coupler, Prevost makes it green for European, but the European style of fitting or profile of the plug and coupler, it's the most through or the least parasitic version. The hole is bigger, let's just call it that. And so when you go to Home Depot, if you're in California, they're probably using TrueFlate. If you go to Home Depot and you're in Pennsylvania, it's probably ISO 06 or industrial standard. And so these guys here are like $1. And so what you would do is you choose your profile from the coupler, and then you just buy your plugs for your tools, whether they're male or female plugs. And you almost always need a 1/4-inch male, because most tools are going to take they're going to have a 1/4-inch female fitting. But some will use 3/8. We carry all of those. Unfortunately, they don't make either one of these in stainless. They don't need to be stainless, so they're just a zinc-plated type finish. But then when I connect my devices, we're using the Euro high flow type function. I end up with theoretically the least amount of loss. It's the most flowing or highest flowing design of all the type of profiles. So pick one, adopt it. Just know if I go to Home Depot and I buy a tool and I buy one of their plugs, it's probably going to be the wrong one. It's going to be an industrial standard. It's not going to fit in the hole. So just keep that in mind when you're talking about your air compressor. So the last thing I'll mention in this video, tools, just to kind of give you an idea of what I use air for, and it's not, well, I'm probably up to 15 grand here with all my hose reels and stuff, so I'm starting to feel a little bad about that. My fancy Continental F5 hoses and my Prevost couplers, and I'm really only doing, 3 tasks, 3 main tasks, maybe 4, I guess you could say. 1, I'm going to fill up my tires. You got to be buttoned up like this in life if you want to have an air compressor like this. I just had to do a little adjustment here on this puppy. But let me show you how this works. It's a pretty sweet setup here. Actually, let's do it on the M3 up in the air here. Show you how this PCL works. So you have the little wand here. So this is from a company called PCL out of I believe the UK, and I think I found these guys at SEMA as well years ago. But I like this digital gauge the most. I've tried so many of these things. There may be something better out there, but I think the rear is 34 psi or something like that. Is what these are, 35. Just top it off a little bit, get some accuracy. You can press this button here to 35 even. So that guy's awesome. And remember, single push, nice easy release. So this is one of the tools that I need to do my jobs here in the garage. The second would be to blow out things, blow out pads, blow out engine bay. And I have basically 5 tools that I use. So I've got the OSHA compliant version, which means that you can stick your finger on here and it won't blow a hole through your hand. So this is the plastic tipped. And then I have a full hand size. So we got the short little S1s, the full size version blowout. And then I've got the metal tip and then the long tip. So I like to have this 5-pack of devices. And then this little penis pump looking thing, Michelle said, she thought it looked like a penis pump. I actually take this, thing apart, but this is the new pad blowout tool by Rupes that I think is incredible. The penis part is or the pumping part, I should say, is designed to help you blow out pads with your vacuum cleaner, which I generally wouldn't do. So I would generally take this thing apart. It's billet aluminum, super duper high quality here. So I would take this piece out and then use this without the pump part and use this for blowing out my pads. It's a really slick design, super high quality. I just like the red anodized aluminum. And push this on and see how that works. So I'm blowing out my pads. It's just a really nice designed, nice device, really high quality build. I find that this one doesn't get all clogged up the way that they set it up with a ball bearing design, where the others are just not as, the Chinese ones aren't quite as high quality as this. I think this is made in Italy, would be my guess. And I haven't done really hardcore long-term testing on this, but this is my current choice for a pad blowout tool. So that's my second use, or I guess my third, let's call it 2.5 uses. My third use is for polishing with a pneumatic polisher. This is one of the most amazing machines ever because it's a 3-inch polisher, 3-inch random orbital, but it has a 15mm orbit. Now it doesn't have a ton of torque, but that larger orbit means I get a lot of work done, and it's very, very smooth and super satisfying. It's been a while since I've used this guy, but let's run it for a minute here. I want you to hear, so we're down to 130 psi in the tank here, so I want you to hear how loud this thing is. Let me get my SPL meter. That's it. Oh, it just broke 60. Wait till it settles in here. So most of its operating time is right around 59 to 60 decibels. So we can sit here and whisper to each other, and our compressor. By the way, I could just sit here and run it all day. Even though the tank will run out of air, it'll still deliver my whatever pressure I have it set at. I'm not winding this all the way up because you need to run this tool at 90 psi. I don't want to damage it. And I have it set for 125. So let's just run it down here. This is incredible. It's so awesome. That's why I put it front and center here, because it's so freaking quiet that it doesn't affect you. That's why you spend 10 grand on this, 11 and a half, $12,000 on this sucker, because of that. Look at it. It's not bouncing around. It's not vibrating. It makes me happy. I don't care who you are. That's freaking cool right there. So I have one of these in my house as well, and I have it in a closet. And my house is not well insulated, certainly not insulated inside. And I can sometimes, if it's really quiet in the living room, I can hear it turn on in the closet that's like right by the entryway. But the vast majority of the time, I have no idea. It'll cycle every so often, but man, it's whisper quiet and really, really awesome to have. If you're a professional detailer and you want to use a pneumatic polisher, this will work great if it's just you. If you want to run multiple polishers at once, then we'd want to get you a different machine. It can do it, but you won't get the full performance out of your tools. You'd really need to deliver 15 to 25 CFM to be able to run multiple pneumatics at the same time. All right, so if you're into this like me and you love this kind of cool tech and cool tools, hit me up. I can help you, get one of these things. And our design team, actually, best thing to do would probably just send an email to design@obsessedgarage.com. They know how to get it better than I do. But we can design your system, design your Prevost piping, make sure you get all the right fittings, all the right couplers, all the right tools. But if you're interested in something like this for your house, for your detail studio, your professional area, or if you need something bigger or smaller, like I said, I'm working on developing solutions in the $200 to $1,000 range. This is aspirational. This is like getting a Ferrari 458 Speciale here. It is, it's overkill for what you need, but in an environment like this where everything is clean and perfected, it's my major sort of luxury purchase. This and some of the tools I have in my cabinet is my major luxury purchase for the garage here. So this isn't for everyone, but man, if you can swing it in your garage design, if you've been saving your whole life and now you're building the showroom of your dreams, I would highly consider recommending putting one of these puppies in there. It makes me smile, and as you know, I'm a bit of a curmudgeon, so if I'm smiling, I'm excited about it, it's got to be pretty darn good. So anyway, thanks for watching. As always, stay tuned for more crazy. If we can help you with your garage design or your crazy air compressor, we're here. See you soon.